Hi there, Tricia here at Club Scrap. I hope you're ready to make some pages together. During our workshop today, we'll be transforming the architectural elements page kit into 8 beautiful layouts. Let's go ahead and get started. Here I have downloaded and printed my architectural elements page kit instructions, so make sure you're working with the same item I am. I have my page kit here, and again, typically I just get rid of all of the ribbon, embellishments, things like that. Isolate the paper that came in the kit, and let's get that paper put into the order we'll be trimming it. So the first sheet I'm going to have you look for is the facade print. Take one of those prints and put it face down on the base of your trimmer. By the way, if you don't have this trimmer, go ahead and get this trimmer. It's one of my favorites. We carry it. And I'll put a link in the description of the YouTube video below. Next up, I want you to find one sheet of the sketch print. That's this one, so it's the one that doesn't have a facade on the front. Then grab one piece of the Merlot, which is that purpley, reddish purple paper. It's so pretty. It does have a texture, so typically I like to keep the texture side facing down, so later when we flip the paper back over, it'll be facing the right direction. And then one sheet of light gray. That's gonna be this guy. Doesn't have a texture. Then typically Deb collates the Cutaparts on the back of your stack. So we're gonna find the one that has the 2 larger circles and then a bunch of strips, sterling prompts, put that face down, followed by the other sheet of Cutaparts with those wider strips, dream, believe, build it. That'll go face down. Next up, let's distribute 2 pieces of the darker gray. Now this gray too has a linen-like texture, so grab both sheets, put them face down. Then the remaining sheet of the sketch print will be next. Grab the other remaining light gray. One sheet of the Merlot, again that felt finish, put it facing down. Then the facade print that remains, and then you got 2 sheets of black plain. Those will be last. Take the whole entire stack, flip it back up to where we began with the facade print, and I'm going to put all of these papers to my left. At this point, I'm grabbing my accordion pocket file. This is a little organizer that I developed 14, 15 years ago. I make these. You can make your own. I don't sell them made, so you have to like grab a kit and then make it. I made a video to help you make one. So to stay organized, you know, this is awesome because we'll be trimming everything needed for all 8 layouts right out of the gates. Now, if you don't have this, no excuses. Don't skip the workshop because you don't have this. Just simply keep 4 piles in front of you, label them 1 and 2 for the first 2 pages, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and 7 and 8. All right, the lip of this goes under the base of my trimmer, so I'll pop that in there and turn to page 1 of my instructions, which indicates that we should take this facade print and put it in the trimmer with the buildings on the left edge here. Okay, so let's cut this at 7.5. Now, first things first, make sure your paper is flush at this top edge here. Find that whole number 7 on the inch line and not on the centimeter line. And then every column representing 1/4 inch. So go to the left of the 7, 2 columns. 1, 2. That takes us to 7.5, okay? And then stabilize by pushing down on the clear bar every time you make a cut. Just make a habit of that. And then slide down to 4.5 without moving anything that landed here. So there's the 4, go left 2 columns, you got your 4.5. Grab the piece that's in the trimmer base with all the buildings on it. We're gonna place that in pockets 7 and 8. And anytime you're placing a 12-inch piece in the pocket, just do it at an angle like this so the paper doesn't hide the name of the pocket. Anyway, it's only 12 inches wide, so is the paper, so it's not designed to be jammed down into the pocket either way. Now this narrower section from the middle of the print, we're going to place that at an angle again in pocket 3 and 4, and then you have your final larger strip also going into pocket 7 and 8, where you put the first piece, and then go ahead and grab this sketch print, we're calling it. Now this round shape right here to me feels like that this is the right side up part of the print, and that is also reflected right in the instructions. We're going to trim this at 9 3/4, so find the whole number 9 and then go left 3 columns. 1, 2, 3, going toward the 10. Make sure your paper's level. Stabilize, slice, and then slide down to 3 3/4. So 1, 3 to the left. There we go. Now this strip here with the round circle, that's going to go in pocket 1 and 2. And then this strip right here is 6 inches. We're gonna rotate it so it's horizontal and cut at 8 and 4. You've made 3 pieces the same size. The first one here can go in pocket 1 and 2. The next one, pocket 3 and 4. And the last one, pocket 5 and 6. It's really making the rounds. Okay, and then this last strip here, pocket 1 and 2. And so far we've created 0 scraps, and we're already moving on to page 2 of our instructions. We're gonna pick up just the sheet of that beautiful Merlot paper and cut it 8 1/2 and 4 3/4. So again, that's 3 columns to the left of the 4. The large piece you just created that's in the trimmer right now, that's going to go right into pocket 3 and 4. The next strip is, if you need to know, it's 3 3/4 by 12. We'll rotate it so it's horizontal. Cut at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, and 3 3/4. And now if I'm going too fast, just adjust your playback speed to 0.75 to slow me down until you feel confident with the process, and with practice you will. Okay, so let's take the 3 squares you made. They should all be the same size, hopefully, into pocket 1 and 2, leaving this little piece that fell from the end. And believe it or not, we're using it in pocket 1 and 2 as well. Okay, pick up the next strip here, and we'll trim this one at 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, 2 3/4. Once again, you've made a series of pieces, this time 4 pieces, all the same size. Those will go in 5 and 6. And then you have this little piece that fell from the end. Once again, we're using it, pocket 1 and 2. Still, not a single scrap has been created in the process of making these layouts. Isn't that neat? All right, then we're gonna move on to this light gray. Just make sure that's the only sheet you have, and we'll cut at 6 1/4, rotate, and cut at 8 1/2, and 4 1/4. Now the piece in your trimmer base and the piece that just fell, it should be the same size. One of them goes in pocket 3 and 4, and the other in 5 and 6. Plus there's a smaller rectangle that fell from the end. So we're gonna trim this one at 4 1/4 and place this piece in pocket 3 and 4. Now there's another little piece that fell from the end that we just made here. We're gonna cut it, believe it or not, at 1 3/4. That trim should have made 2 pieces, once again the same size, and they're both gonna go in pocket 1 and 2. The remaining piece, the strip of light gray that remains, trim it at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. These 3 pieces that are the same size will be used in layout 7 and 8. And the small piece that fell from the end, also 7 and 8. And my friends, we did all that without creating a single scrap. So there were no scraps from this project except for the perimeter of this cut apart. So here we are at the cut aparts, and there are instructions on each edge that say remove paper outside of corner cutting guides. So I'm going to place this piece in the trimmer and just take some off. I want to remove that text. There is a line there. I can kind of see it, but I cannot see where this line at the bottom comes in contact with the blade. The paper is just a little too large. So when I make my first cut, I do it a little on the generous side. Then I'm going to rotate the paper, and this time I should be able to see where that little line meets the edge of my blade, and I can see that. And then I rotate again to get this edge, line up those guides, rotate. This time I should be able to look at my 12. And I got a little fine tuning to do here. So sometimes I just make my final rotation here, make sure I have that edge removed, and have a little cleaning up to do on this side. So just keep shaving until you're satisfied. Get rid of those tiny little pieces. And before we cut this into individual elements, just make sure the words home is not a place, it is a feeling. That should be on your right. And my first cut at 11 inches, if you look, should go right in between these two strips, okay? So that's at 11. Then we want to go to 10, 8.5, always cutting between the artwork, obviously. Then 7 and 4. Rotate. We'll cut, and we're rotating so this arch is on your right, the tag is on your left. Cut it 8 3/4 and 6. Now rotate this 6-inch piece here, this tag. Do you see how it's going to become a tag? It's right now it's a rectangle. So a nice easy way to take care of making this a tag is just to angle it into the trimmer blade, bring the blade really close to the paper, match the reveal between the edge of the artwork and the edge of the paper. Sometimes I close an eye and that just helps me aim a little better. And now I've made a tag just like that. No die cut required. And let's place this large tag into pockets 7 and 8. Eventually you're going to fussy cut this archway, but for now let's plop this into 7 and 8 as well. And the same is true for this arch. Put that in 5 and 6. Place the tags in the trimmer so that the tags are on the right, and then cut at 10, 8, and 6. You can go to the 3 as well. Now you can use either a punch or a thin cutting die if you prefer to remove the circle, or just trim it with scissors. If you're worried about imperfections by trimming a circle with scissors, you can always ink the edges with one of Club Scrap's black or maybe ash ink pads and maybe a sponge applicator, and that will cover a multitude of any imperfections. This piece right here, as well as the journaling prompt, both go in pocket 1 and 2. The next journaling prompt that's vertical, that'll go in 3 and 4. You could make it into a tag if you want. Then the next one in 5 and 6. Our final horizontal journaling prompt, 7 and 8. The next strip, that's a border here, that's kind of dark, that goes in 7 and 8. This one is 3 and 4. You have 2 more that match. They're a pair. They both go in 3 and 4. And that leaves you with the little triangles you shaved off the edge of your tag. How cool is that? Now we've reached the last piece we have to trim, but we have to do that same little process of removing the edges as indicated by those hash marks. So go ahead and pause me if you need to. Take all the time you need to make sure that those cuts are nice and neat. And the reason for this is that I want you to take your time is it's sort of like if the first cut isn't right, it's like a butterfly effect, and all the rest of the cuts are affected. So here I am with those narrow Merlot colored strips on my right, and my first cut here is 11 1/4. Then 10 1/2, 8 1/2, 6, 3 1/2. All right, this larger piece here, pocket 5 and 6. The next large border strip, 1 and 2. Here we have some trimming to do on this one. I would place it in and trim at 8 and 4. The piece left in your trimmer base right now, that goes in 1 and 2. Here we have a tag, so remember you can clip those corners, and both of these tags go in pocket 3 and 4 after their corners are clipped if you prefer. Here we'll take these 3 circles. These could have been left as part of this strip or cut individually, which is what I chose to do. I'm going to cut at 10, 8, and 6. Creativity. This one goes in pocket 5 and 6. The first medallion, pocket 1 and 2. The second one, 5 and 6. The final one, 7 and 8. And then these 2 strips also are used in 7 and 8. Next, grab the trimmed photo mats from your kit, and let's go ahead and get these filed as well. We're gonna place, 3 light gray photo mats, that's this one, into pocket 1 and 2. 3 dark gray mats into pocket 3 and 4. 3 black photo mats into pocket 5 and 6, and 3 Merlot photo mats into pocket 7 and 8. All right, that's it for our trimming. We have no scraps to deal with. I'm going to support my accordion pocket file while I lock my trimmer blade and remove it. And from now on, this is just going to sit on its back. For this next phase of assembly, I like to work from the back to the front. So in other words, layout 8 to layout number 1, so that number 1's on top when we're done. We're not going to glue anything down right now, so we're just going to work at dry fitting all the pieces in their places. Then, if you choose, you can finish, go ahead and finish. Glue everything down, add your photos, done. Otherwise, if at a later time you want to add your photos and glue everything down, like when we're hanging out with your friends and don't have to think so hard, we'll be stopping at the perfect spot to help you do that. So, of the remaining sheets of paper in your stack, take the top sheet, bring it to the right of your workspace. All the remaining sheets are in a stack next to it on your left. And that's going to give you the base for layouts 7 and 8. Okay, not 1 and 2, but 7 and 8. And I'm going to turn in my instructions to the very last page. And looking down at the bottom, you'll see layouts 7 and 8 pictured here. So we're just going to follow a picture. Kind of like when you start out with a jigsaw puzzle and the box is your guide and you got all the pieces in front of you. This is just like it, except it's so much easier than a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, so I'm emptying the contents of 7 and 8. And I typically do like to hold the pieces in my hand while I'm passing them out because it's just kind of easier than picking up individual pieces off the table. And I like to start it with distributing the largest pieces. So let's take this large piece here with the facade and bring it up to the top on the left edge. And then the other piece of that print is going to go flush with the bottom of the right edge. Then take this border strip that says make it simple and place that right up against this side, and then the larger border strip here that has the white edge at top and bottom should nest nicely with this but significant. You're going to find a series of 3 light gray photo mats. What's cool about these is that they're going to fit with perfection right in these opening spots with a nice equal margin all the way around. All right, now take the Merlot photo mat, put it horizontally here, and then 2 vertical right here on the left. You've got a journaling prompt right here. Again, you'll clip those corners. I used a slot punch to add a little slot in the middle of this tag, and then you can take some of this ribbon, thread it through the slot, nice and easy, and then wrap the ends around the back. Just a nice little addition there of the ribbon. Then you have this little gray strip. What I did was rounded just 1 corner of this piece like this, and I slid it behind the photo mat. And eventually then I will take any choice on this strip of silver elements, and you can just pull it back and add it to this for a nice little look. And I'll show you that in a minute. These are really fun and wonderful to work with. On the tag here, I added a slot here and threaded it with 2 colors of ribbon. And I placed it right above this tag so that this little strip here that would have been a scrap that we rescued just does a really nice job of anchoring things down on the left. Once this has been fussy cut, you can slide it behind here. That's gonna look cool. And you can either punch or hand cut the circle. That's gonna be placed right there. Now to show you the finishing touches, I'll grab my completed layouts that have all been adhered. So on this side, you can see I've added this piece with foam adhesive, inked the edges with ash, that's our soft gray colored ink, and then added the ribbon around to the back. Here I added just a section of that pretty, an element from the Dazzle border stickers. I think I wrapped it right around to the back. Doesn't that look nice? Then on the facing page, I added some Dazzles here and here. Pop this up with foam adhesive. I did have like a stitched edge die that I used on this, inked with ash, and then 2 slots, a double layering of both the gray and the Merlot colored grosgrain, and then I taped that on the back. Isn't that pretty? You can see this too, inked with ash. It just sort of softens the cut edges and just gives it a nice feel. All right, let's move on to our next set of pages. Now I'm going to take the base of this layout number 7 and slide it onto 8. and then take one more sheet and slide it to the right, and that's going to expose the base for layouts 5 and 6. So consult that same picture in your instructions for your little puzzle map, and also empty the contents of pocket 5 and 6. I'm going to start with this large strip right here across the top, maybe about an inch from the top edge. We can fine tune that in a minute. I'm also going to take my sheet of this handmade paper and place it right here on the left. Now, one of the things that you could do here with this paper is, since it's handmade, it's not perfectly perfect. So if you wanted to plop this in the trimmer and just make sure that it's exactly 5 inches, and then rotate and cut it to 7. Yes, definitely do that. And then why don't you do the same thing with the other handmade paper? Just trim vertically at 5 and horizontally at 7. Okay, get rid of that trimmer again, and you can dispose of those scraps. Okay, the 5 by 7 inch piece is going to go right there on the left, and then you can follow that up with a black photo mat and then that beautiful print. There's also going to be a set of 4 pieces of the Merlot that are going to puzzle in right here. Now, of note, let's say you don't have 4 pictures to place in this spot. Like, so if you have like 2 horizontal pictures, you could cover the gap in between the 4 photos. I know Karen does that a lot because, you know, she has really nice pictures. She may not want to crop them as small. So in her finished layout, she'll have the 4 blocks, but then just stretched 1 photo over all of them. Then horizontally on the right, we're going to take a light gray photo mat below and then 2 tilted mats above on the right. We'll have a journaling prompt right here. And once this is a circle, you can kind of tuck it there. This is going to be trimmed and inked. It goes right in that spot. And then our little title will go up here. I have a lot of finishing touches to share with you. I'm just going to bring in my finished pages to talk you through them. Let's take this one, for example. This was cut with the stitched edge die and then inked with ash, as well as this after it was fussy cut. I've got a 2-part bow here where I've looped 1 bow around the tag first, adhered the tag, and then just tied a knot into a second piece of ribbon and added it to the tag with a glue line. So that's all there is to it on that one. And on this other side, I did some fun stuff. We've got ribbon. I just cut a spot so I could thread it through, and it comes out right here. So this is, took a craft knife and cut that so I could thread the ribbon and then around to the back. I guess I did that before it was attached to this page. That's just adds so much anchoring to this. Next, I took bookbinding glue and added the corner accents and the upper left and lower right of this pre-planned photo spot. That's all there is to it. That's pages 5 and 6. How cool is that? So now I can pick up the base of page 5, slide it on to page 6. Then I see the Merlot colored paper, so I will slide that on over. And I need to turn backwards now in my instructions to layouts 3 and 4. I'm going to need everything out of the pocket labeled 3 and 4. And this is kind of an optical illusion. I always feel like the base of this side is Merlot, and then this and this has been placed on top of it. It just is kind of a funny effect. Above the Merlot, I'm going to place Home is not a place, and then below it, it's a feeling. Cool. There is a printed photo mat here. I'm going to nest onto a dark gray. So lay the dark gray down and then add that to the top. Most of that's going to be covered by a picture, but it's still really cool. This printed strip here will be vertically on the right edge here. I'm going to add 2 slightly tilted dark gray mats here. The border strip above it, which I've added some of the border strips to this. You can take 2 matching strips and link them together to get a 12-inch length of the same artwork. And then here we have 2 mats, the larger light gray, and then the second light gray should be the same height. One of the tags, this one, no dreamer is ever too small, no dream is ever too big. That's gonna go here. And then I've got ribbon I'm going to use generously there. And then the remaining 2 tags, when they're done, will be here. Little slot punch treatment, which I'll show you. So layout number 4. Here you can see that beautiful accent border. That's the seam of the 2 pieces being brought together. Here, I looped my ribbon through, added it to the back, and then I just tied 2 colors of ribbon together. So this is kind of a neat trick. You tie a really loose bow out of the gray, that soft gray ribbon, and then before you tighten the knot, you insert a second shorter piece of the Merlot colored ribbon. Then tie your knot tight, thus trapping that ribbon together. I'm going to call that little technique the Julie, because Julie's the one who came up with the idea when she was trying to utilize a small ribbon scrap. I mean, isn't necessity the mother of invention there? I absolutely love the look of that. So do the Julie. It's a really cool way to use ribbon and use your little scraps. Okay, here on the facing page, I again nested the 2 shades of ribbon, made a small loop, you know, maybe 2-3 inches of ribbon is all. Added this guy with foam adhesive to give it a little height. And then this one has the larger black ribbon. So all 3 ribbons are represented right here, and then accent this corner with one of those black accents. Oh, I did the same thing over here. I forgot to mention that. Isn't that beautiful? Again, attaching those accents with bookbinding glue works great. Moving along now, I'm going to pick up the base, which is the print, and slide it over. And then that leaves me with 1 sheet of black to slide and 1 sheet as the foundation of layout number 1. I'll grab everything out of the pocket labeled 1 and 2. And let's see, I'm going to find my 3 little Merlot squares. I think that's a good place to begin, right up here, across the top of the right side. Perfect. Below that then, I'm going to use this printed from the sketch print, this strip. And then 2 gray tilted photomats will be here. Above this, I stretched some ribbon, and then kind of tucked here, I'm going to add this and this, and I rounded the corner, just the top right corner of that little strip, but it kind of is a fake out, right? Now on the left side, let's see, I'm going to start out with this gorgeous piece. It's in quite a ways from the left edge. And then I'll add a crisscross of our page title going across the bottom. Now a placement guide might be these rectangular light gray mats. So I'm going to bring that down. Enter in with your handmade, oh, that is so beautiful. Your handmade paper, and then a gray. Oh, that is so gorgeous. Once these are trimmed to circles, they're going to be right here. Okay, kind of layered together. We've got this guy, he's going to be right over here. And this last piece, I think I used the longer piece here. I did. And the shorter piece here. There we go. That's the basic, you know, positioning. Finishing touches now to see here, added the Dazzles silver pattern to the scrap. I mean, that's leveling up if you ask me. And then here we have a piece of ribbon that I stretched across the entire page, just 1 piece. Then a second piece was tied on to this spot right here with the medallion centered behind the knot. Okay, I think I added the medallion first, then added the ribbon. That's usually how it goes. And on the facing page here, I'm in love with this page. I know it only has room for 1 large picture. I mean, you could add, if you're trying to really use a lot of pictures, then maybe switch up the layout a little bit, or just put pictures wherever you can. I got these 2 little accent photos here, but I just loved the feel and look of this layout. Normally I try to get more pictures on a page though. I confess. Here, rounded just the upper left corner of the scrap, now turned accent, layered it with some of the silver dazzles, and bingo. Here I wrapped the upper corners and the upper left and lower right corners of the photomat with that wide black ribbon, and then did the opposite corners with the accents, okay? Again, bookbinding glue, and I just kept everything as close to the edge of the mat as possible, and I think that looked really fabulous. Okay, my friends, that was Architectural Elements Page Kit. So pretty. If you like this collection, make sure you grab the card kit as well. I do have a nice hour-long workshop. We make 12 cards together, and we approach the process much the same way. We sort the papers, then trim them according to specific instructions, Then we'll score the papers and assemble them into 4 each of 3 different card styles. And then we work in batches, just like we did with the pages here. It's extremely efficient and very effective and very fun. So come and join me for that workshop. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button here at YouTube so that you don't miss another product release or preview. I always preview our collections here on YouTube. And then last of all, if you're not already a member of Club Scrap, what are you waiting for? You'll save $8 on your monthly kits, and we're very flexible, so you don't have to receive every kit every month. It's always our goal to make you and keep you happy. Thanks again for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you in our next workshop together.